Yeah. Okay, everyone, hello, how are you? Today I am going to discuss some of my favorite art books, and I'm also going to show you what I am currently working on. So, I am currently working on this portrait here. If you look at my videos, you'll see that I was working on this one early this morning, and I'll be back on later to finish up with this. But I am going to discuss some of these art books that I just love. I love having. Also, I have to return a dress to Ross for hello Josie or Jose. It may be Jose. How are you? So I have a dress that I have to return to Ross. I actually love the dress, but I mean, it's just the cutest ever. But it's too low cut in the front and it's a little too high for me. But I think it is really, really precious. Love it. So I have to return it today. You say my name. Um, is it Jose? Yeah. So and also I'm having my coffee. And this mug that I'm okay. So this mug that I'm having my coffee out of is actually one that comes from my mom's shop. And what I love about it is it has the same image on both sides. Love it. But I'm having my coffee and my chocolates right now. So one of the books that I really been wanting to show you guys, but it's so big and I've been trying to figure out how I'm gonna show it to you, is this one. This massive book here by Norman Rockwell. When I say it is big, it is heavy, but I love this book. Norman Rockwell is one of the artists that I am very, very inspired by. The the way he did his art, his illustrations, they were just fascinating to me. So I have this book here, and it's quite a rare find. So I thought that I would share some of it with you all. And oh gosh, and this one is just it's Norman Rockwell, artist and illustrator. I have quite a few books on Norman Rockwell. I have at least five that I'm looking at over here. Yeah, at least five over here, two over here. I have quite a few by Norman Rockwell. So, and I love how the sections are divided with these. Hopefully, hopefully you guys can see this. How the sections are divided with these cover pages here. Okay, that's a little better. And the book contains like, there's one right now, beautiful fold outs, like beautiful poster fold outs. And it's still so big that I can't get everything in at one time, but it has several of these in it. And let's see if I can get to one of my favorite images. I should have tabbed it. Trying to get to my favorite one, but I love this. And when you have a book such as this, sometimes you see things by artists that you never even knew they had. So this one, I like this one. I like this one a lot. And these are actually, it's almost like they're photos that could be pulled out and framed. Of course, I would not do that, but they're actually tabbed in here. They're not printed in here. I shouldn't say that they're not all, some of them are actually like pull out posters. And then the Saturday Evening Post, the idea of that, I love the Saturday Evening Post because I would love to be able to get my hands on a few copies of the Saturday Evening Post with Norman Rockwell covers. Okay, here we go. This is my favorite image, and this one hangs on my wall there. But this one is the Doctor and Dog. I love this one, and this one is actually one of those pull out. I don't know if they're actually pull out, but they're stuck in here. They're posters. They're posters that could actually, if someone wanted to take them out and frame them, they could, but I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't disturb what the book is. Yeah, some of my favorite images by Norman Rockwell, and this book is huge, so it's a lot in here. To the back. This is another fold out. Let's see how we can make out with this one. It's a lot to look at. Yep, this image that he did of Ruby Bridges. Love this one. Being escorted to school. Okay, so this is quite heavy. So I'll move on to something else. So some of my favorite books to learn from, before I jump into those, I do have these that sit on my little wing table that I resort to often. And I'll talk about these in a different video. But this is drawing on the right side of the brain, drawing on the artist within. And then I have a workbook for drawing on the right side of the brain down here. I'll just really discuss these in a separate video. This is the workbook for that one. And then this is another edition. I think this one is an older edition of Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. And then I have The Artist Way here. And this is The Artist Way, the Morning Pages Journal. So I'll discuss these at another time. But these are the ones that sit on my table here. Okay, also, this is another, oh no, I was gonna jump into these first. So I love learning from these little instructional guides. That's why I keep them close to the desk. So I have here pencil drawings. I love doing tutorials out of this little step-by-step guidebook. It has some amazing lessons in it. And I have this whole series of books here. Not the whole series, but the ones that interest me the most, I have. So here is giving samples of textures and strokes. And this is like one of the beginning lessons that you want to learn as far as when you're jumping into sketching. You have to learn. That's a very important lesson. The strokes, the textures, because that depends on, it helps you to form the realism in your art. And then knowing the difference between the strokes and textures. And then this goes into some of the projects that's in here. So these are like great beginner guidebooks, but I still resort to these books for some of the tutorials because I just like using some of this for my sketchbook. And then you'll see that it goes into some advanced lessons in the back. This one I have not done yet, but I will do. So the back has like more advanced lessons to it. Airbrushing. This one I really, really need because I have an airbrush gun and an airbrush machine. And I am really trying to learn my airbrush machine. So that is why I really grabbed this one. So this is one. This is pretty much the only thing that I have been practicing with my airbrush gun on my own, learning to do the circles, and I do it with like a stencil. I was using the inside of a mason jar cap as my as the stencil for my circle and practicing that way. But airbrushing is quite fun. It's just for one, I would have to do it outside on my balcony for ventilation because I some doing some small things I wouldn't mind just throwing up a sheet to protect things and do small practice, but to really airbrush, I would rather be outside on my balcony. But I have this book too as a beginner guide. I also have another airbrush tutorial book, but that one is in my room. This one is on charcoal drawing. And you know, charcoal is a step up from graphite. Charcoal, you get your darker tones with charcoal. And I do just a little bit of both. Like my drawings right now are mainly graphite, but I do incorporate a little charcoal for some of my darker tones, but to do like full charcoal drawings, which I really love. I love artists that does full charcoal drawings because I just love the darkness, and it seems like charcoal goes down so much easier because you can take like little pans of especially loose charcoal and just cover your page and form your image with it without even sketching it out, and then start building on it. So I love charcoal art, and I am going to get into that pretty soon. Look at this one. But with graphite, I love being able to control my pencils. Right now, I do like the level I'm on. I feel like I'm on a decent level. I'm on a pretty advanced level, but I'm still not on a level that I want to be on with my graphite sketching. I'm on a level of realism, but I want to eventually graduate to the level of like hyperrealism. And hyperrealism is where you can hardly decipher the difference between the photograph you're sketching from and the image that has been sketched. And sometimes with hyperrealism, you can be so well with it that the image you sketch can even supersede the photo. So that's why I practice so much because I feel like I have it in me. If I had the stream is messing up. Not sure if you guys caught that, but I had to refresh it. So watercolor. I love watercolor. I have watercolors. Oh, dropping stuff out the book. I have watercolor sets that just sit here on my desk for ready use. I just love watercolor. Watercolor is my favorite painting medium because it's much more easily transportable. It's much more active on the paper. When you put in watercolor down, it moves on its own. Paint, it's more like acrylic, oil paints, gouache. That's more controlled. You can control the strokes of those paintings, those mediums, but watercolor, it just gives you all kind of, you put it down and you get all kind of bursts from watercolor. Hey sis, how are you? You're off today, huh? And then they said she was on the phone with you when she made it home from work. So this one is just a guided step of, and I should let you guys know that these books that I'm showing you right now, these are the Walter Foster um prints, and this one is just called watercolor. So most of them, if you want to look for them, you can find them on eBay. That's where I get most of them from. And no, well, I get a lot of them from Half Price Books, my used bookstore. Yeah, she told me she spoke with both of you. Yeah. So I get most of my books from the Half Price Bookstore. I love getting my books used. I rarely go to Barnes and Noble these days, because I love used bookstores. But this one, it just gives you all kind. It even shows you the difference in forming like the important shapes, your cylinders, starting off with your sketching. It gives like different color tones for painting. And a lot of these books, like you can learn from the books, but you actually need the hands-on experience to actually fool with the medium in order to know if you really, really like it. Watercolor, if you have not tried it, and don't just go with the lowest grade watercolors, like you might see some of those little kits that they have in the sections at places like Walmart with the watercolor tubes. If you want to try it, I would say try to at least start with a decent brand, like a more well-known brand like Winsor and Newton or M. Graham or something like that, so you can get the full experience of what watercolor actually does. Because some of the lower grade brands, it's made for you to have fun with them, but they're not going to offer the same properties as a good watercolor would. So you won't have the same experience using a lower grade quality watercolor. So this one is all paintings step by step, and this one is like all painting materials. So this one kind of gives the things that would be needed for oil painting, and this one gives like step by step guides on instructions as far as creating your paintings. So I love keeping a lot of these art tutorial books on hand. This one is acrylics, and same with this one, step by step on your acrylic paintings. And pastel, same thing here, step by step on your pastel drawings, on getting into pastel. And I would say every last one of these mediums, I have them all. Some of them I use more than others, like with my painting. Most of my paintings are acrylic paintings. The only reason I do more acrylic paintings is because of ventilation. Oil painting can be toxic if you're not in a properly ventilated area, and my apartment is small. So I am going to start using my oil paintings, but I would probably open my back door while I'm doing my oil painting. I never wanted to just pull out oil paint and have invisible toxins in the air that me and my daughter are ingesting. But I do have oil paint on hand that I have not gotten into. This is the other airbrush book that I said I thought it was in my room, but this is the other one that I have on airbrushing. And this one, it seems a little more detailed, so I really, really like this one. And I think that I am really going to be able to get my airbrush skills up using those. My voice is quite scratchy because this is morning time for me. I've only been up for maybe about 2 hours. So this is the other Norman Rockwell book, and this one is my adventures as an illustrator. I love this book, and it was revived by his son Tom Rockwell. I think he wrote the last extra chapter in the book or something like that. But I love this book. Love this one also. And some of these I'm showing because some books, if you're not aware of, I would like to help you become aware of them. This one is Art Class, a beginner's complete guide to painting and drawing. I love this book. I love this one. So anyone that wants to get into art, with the way the internet is these days and a lot of the instructional books that you can find, you really don't have to go to a school for things. Like, a lot of people feel like they have to rely on the teaching of a school or others in order to actually learn a skill. Now, you are still learning from others from a certain extent, but it's through observation. It's not just going sit in a classroom and wait for instruction, step by step instruction. Now, nothing is wrong with that because there's things that I do want to go to school to learn myself, but to actually jump into art and learn on your own and even advance to the level that I'm on, you can learn it on your own. And there are so many tools that can help you do that. This book, I love this one. And I just love a lot of the older instructional guides that you can get, and they're so easy to find. Like, if you go to your used bookstores, they're very easy to find. That's the first section I go in when I go into the bookstore. Starting to paint. So this is like a complete classroom guide that you can learn completely on your own. Composition and perspective. And this is one that I really have to put a little more attention into because I want to I want to learn more about perspective because, say, with this painting, I'm saying painting, this portrait here, there's things that there's ideas I have that I can add. Hopefully you guys can fully see it, but there's ideas that I have that I can add into the portrait, but it would take me to have the proper perspective in order to it's things that's not in a picture. So it's ideas that I have in my head for things that's not in a picture that I could actually add into this portrait. And that's where the perspective comes in hand because you would have to have it to where it's sitting exactly right in order to make it look like it's really a part of the image. So perspective is, it helps out in a lot of areas as far as your art is concerned. Okay, and this one is drawing and painting techniques. So this one focuses on drawing and painting. And this one, I should say who these are. This is by Amber Printing. I'm sure it's the Amber Printing Company, but it doesn't have an author on here. Yeah, it's just Amber Books, but it's drawing and painting techniques, a step-by-step guide. So, and going into this one, let's see. So, it from the table of contents, it's before you begin, and it gives you everything like setting up your workspace, organizing your workspace, keeping a sketchbook, which is very important. You always keep a sketchbook. Um, Portable art materials, choosing the best palette, choosing the best easels, and then from bamboo to ballpoint. So there are things such as, let's see if I could reach one without, what it means by from bamboo to ballpoint is this is like a bamboo reed pen, and we all know what a ballpoint pen is. So I don't have to pull that out, but that's what that discusses. Papers, panels, and brushes, creating color, so that's color mixing, color blending, tried and test, tried and tested techniques, future techniques, and then the ending. And this will be a small flip through of that. Using mixed media. So this is basically showing you where you're using two different mediums instead of one, meaning you may be mixing watercolor with gouache, or you have watercolor as your under painting, and then you're going over with pastel or color pencils or something like that. That is what is meant by mixed media when you're using more than just one type of medium for one art piece. Your brushes, which are very important also, because bad brushes could give you a very frustrating painting experience. Tinted paper. I love working on tinted paper. It helps it seems to me it helps the image pop out much quicker. I am getting hungry. Sipping the coffee making me hungry. I'm filling my belly. Love this. Let's see what lesson this one is. Drawing with the grid. And speaking of drawing with the grid, I have my little grid guide, drawing guide here. This is super old, but I keep it here on the wall. And it says creating a grid, measure this centimeters of the canvas divided by 10. So I keep that there, meaning you measure how many centimeters your canvas is, you divide it by 10, and then you divide it into equal blocks. If you can understand what I just said, some people may. Fabric textures and charcoal. And I love working on texture. So my favorite things to draw is, okay, so obviously you see I love drawing people, but my favorite people to draw are aged people because there's so much character in their features. When I'm drawing like a senior portrait or a senior study, just sketch study, I'm fascinated by the wrinkles in the folds in the skin. And it's the same thing with fabric. Fabric gives you beautiful, flowy folds and creases that when you highlight and darken, it just comes out fascinating. So as far as sketching, that's some of my favorite things to sketch. I love sketching people. I have like so many screenshots in my phone from different different people that I have to use as studies because I study everyone, and it's important to be able to draw everyone. I I'm fascinated with drawing people, but I love drawing aged people the most. What's this one? Okay, this one is adding color to scrapboard. This one I have not gotten into. Not sure if that's something I would get into. I had one like this that I hadn't started yet. It's one of those images where you kind of use a tool to scrape the image out. It's kind of hard for me to describe. You would have to know what it is. But the panel is black. Under this black layer, there's colors, and you're given a guide to sketch, to scrape out an image, and you're scraping the black layers off, and eventually it turns into a image layer. I have one of those somewhere. I just never did it. One or two of them using adhesives. And this is the ending of the book. Abstract paintings. I do love abstract. That was some of the things. I think I used to love doing abstract more when I was younger. I found myself doing that a lot. Okay, here we go. The big book of watercolor. And this they all start off the same. They give you your tools needed, your setup needed. So they basically all teach you the same techniques, especially in the beginning. It's just that once you get into the books, it's different minds, so the lessons are going to be different. The same, but the same, pretty much the same, because you're going to see some of the same guidelines, but with different instructional tutorials. So you really don't need as many of the books that I have. I just love, I don't know how to not buy them when I see them. Thumbnail sketches, which is also very important. So you see some of the same instructions throughout a lot of the books, but like I said, the actual tutorials of them will be different. You're going to get different images. This is another one on watercolor. Another one on watercolor. And this one is watercolor, a step-by-step guide. Another step-by-step guide. This one is, okay, this one says it's by Jose M. Paramon. And this one, oh, this one was a Barnes and Noble book. Watercolor, a step-by-step guide. And this one came from Barnes and Noble. So it may still actually be available at Barnes and Noble. And this is describing your washings, how you wet your paper and do your washes first. So I would suggest if you want to get into any medium, decide which one you want to get into and get you a few books and study on it before you really jump into it. This is clouds. And I love the I love painting clouds in watercolor. And as far as painting clouds, what you have to understand with painting clouds, it's more of a negative painting type thing. So you're sketching out your clouds, but you're not painting your clouds. You're painting the the background around your clouds. Even if you do a slight wash to the whole page, then and leave highlights on the leave some highlights on the cloud, then you don't want to touch the clouds anymore. You want to just start building around the clouds in order to help them pop out from the page. Still Life with Books. Love this one. And I'm always working on several projects at one time. Like I'm working on a sketch here, and I have a painting in progress. Well, really two. The painting that I did with my lady in pink, I paused on that because I want to do something different with that one. I want to get like instead of using like a gold paint that I normally use, or gold leaf for the jewelry, I see a liquid gold leaf that I want to order. So that's why it's on a pause, because I want to order the liquid gold leaf and try that out to finish the jewelry. And then the other painting that I'm working on is one that my daughter requested. I didn't really post that one because it's one that she saw that she really, really likes, and she wanted me to redo it for her. So because it's not actually my idea or my one of my original pieces, I just did not I'm not posting that one out of respect for the artist that it's whoever it's from. But she liked the image, so I'm doing it for her. Look at how nice this looks on this painting looks and how close it looks to the original image. I would say it's lacking some of the gray, but it looks really good. I'm not sure if you guys can hear my daughter on the phone. So that one was another oh, did I just start falling? Yes, some of these on the floor. Okay, so we have another big book of drawing. This one is another art school book, How to Paint and Draw. And it's basically going to be the same thing. Giving you your tools, your workspace. This one is on working on line and wash, colored pencils, sketching, paint and paint brushes. And then it's going to the back on oils and acrylics. Okay, and this is the big book of drawing. Sorry about that, guys. You never know what to expect in artwork still. I know that it's in there, but never know exactly where. Not sure why there's so much of it in art books. I don't think it should be that much, but this one is lifelike portraits and photographs. I love this one because this one is what I'm mainly into. And the previous owner actually tabbed each section of nose, mouth, ear, eyes, hair. And then it's giving you a grid on actually forming. So this one, I would say if you want to be a portrait artist, this one, something like this would be more come more in handy for you because this one gives great instructions on doing like facial images. This is the mouth, the teeth, and look at how nice that is. Step by step here for each one. And this would be fun to do in a sketchbook, just sitting there doing these step by step images, especially if you want to get into portraiture or hair, drawing the beards. Drawing the ears. This is one thing that used to give me a lot of difficulty. So it's one thing that I practice. I should practice it more, but it's one thing that I make sure I do practice because ears, I used to hate drawing ears. I used to hate drawing ears and I used to hate drawing hands. Eyes, I love drawing eyes. That's one of my favorite features to draw. I love drawing eyes. I probably have more study sketches of eyes than studies of anything else. And see how my eyes are just drawn to this because of the wrinkles and the folds in the skin. I love seeing that because I just love sketching it. Love sketching it. And, and this is my latest book that I'm really enjoying. And I'm just enjoying like the beginning stages of reading it and going through it. But this one is The Artist's Guide to Sketching by James Gurney and Thomas Kincaid. I keep so much stuff in my books, everything falling out. It's the receipts that from the day that I purchased the books. I normally keep them in there. I'm loving this one. The information that you're getting along with the tutorials that's in it. I'm just loving it. Street. This is amazing. Industry was done by James Gurney did that one. Yeah, James Gurney did this one. Thomas Kincaid did this one. Really, really cool stuff in here. So yeah, that is just a few of the books that I really, really like learning from, and that does not scratch the surface of how many art books I have. I have a shelf that I'm looking at that's just full of art books. At the popular one by Charles Barge here, I have so many art books that I could sit this video would probably be hours long, but I don't have hours long in me to hold all of that. And also I'm gonna have to make sure I charge my phone because I'm going to be back on with this sketch here. And I keep showing you guys the image, but I'm not showing you what I'm working from. So this is the sketch, and this is the image. And some artists like to print their image out and have it sit next to the photo that they're working on as reference. I've always preferred working from my tablet. And that's simply because, like, whatever section I really want to focus on, I can zoom in and focus just on that particular section. So that is why I've always preferred working from my tablet. But I will be back on with that. What time is it? Hopefully no later than 8. Hopefully no later than 8 p.m. Because I have to prepare myself something to eat. I have not eaten yet today. So I do need to prepare myself something to eat. And be ready to hop back on. That's why my desk, I'm not sure if you guys can see this. I didn't want to disturb any of the tools that I'm using. They're still sitting there so that all I have to do is lay my picture back down and jump right back into getting it done. So I'm going to go ahead on and prepare myself something to eat, let my phone charge, and I'll be back with you guys hopefully shortly.